One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry.
Well, you'll never guess. The event with Pete Hegseth and Elon Musk has been delayed basically an hour and a half. And as early as 35 seconds ago, they still hadn't turned on the feed. Well, you guys are good luck because they just turned on the feed, so we didn't even miss a second of it. You guys are going to hear the speeches with Pete Hegseth and Elon Musk live as soon as they come on. I mean, they literally, just as the intro was playing, they just showed the feed. Hold on. Let me kill that, whatever that is. Whatever that noise is, let me just kill that. But that's where Pete Hegseth and Elon Musk will be talking. But the good Lord blessed us. They hadn't been ready. It was been delayed over and over, but we're going to catch it live. It won't even be recorded. It will be live. So welcome, everybody. Let me just say this in advance. I want to just preface this and say I'm sorry, because I've got Midas and Lily in here. Robin is on a plane heading to Las Vegas, and I've got the two dogs on myself. So if they start barking or whining or something, let me apologize in advance. But I'll tell you what, they won't be whining as much as the people in Minnesota. We're going to get to that after we hear this speech. But before that, let's go ahead and check in on what's going on with the boss. And that's a lot. All right, so let's check in here. Effective immediately, any country, that'd be all, doing any business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States of America. This order is final and conclusive. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Wow. Something big's about to come. They've asked all Americans to evacuate from Iran. And so I think we are imminent for something in Iran. As you know, they've placed ships right outside of Cuba. There's going to be some stuff happening tomorrow. President Trump is not, it's not a rally per se, but he's given a speech in Detroit, which we will certainly cover. And there's never a dull moment. It just keeps happening and happening, happening. So let me show you the other thing that President Trump said. And this is pretty big as well. Oops, that was the wrong button. It's this button. All right. These FBI, and that's not the speech we're waiting for. That's a speech he did earlier in the afternoon, so it's not like I'm holding it back. These FBI agents are total scum. In their own way, they're no better than the insurrectionists in Portland, Minnesota, Los Angeles. Cash, better get them out. I don't know about you, but when I get a directive like that from the boss, there's no negotiation. Cash, better get them out now. Radical left lunatics put in by the auto pen and Obama President Donald J. Trump, and it's an article from John Solomon, which Kash Patel quickly fired a whole bunch of people. In addition to those guys being fired, they also fired the prosecutor who wouldn't prosecute the case against James Comey. So much is happening right now. So much is happening. And I don't want to miss this. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to get into Pete Hegseth's earlier speech. And as soon as they come on, I will cut to the live speech. And then I got some other stuff I have to show you, some other news. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. Now would be a good time for me to run this. You guys have now, by now, have heard of bearskin hoodie. Matter of fact, if you're in Minnesota and you got to stand watch over your property, this might be the hoodie you want to watch. This might be the hoodie you want to put on tonight while you're trying to watch out for the hoodlums. Well, the smart people are grabbing theirs right now because when it's already freezing, you want gear that actually keeps you warm. Bearskin is running a 60% off deal right now. And I got to tell you, this is an amazing hoodie. So you can finally upgrade that sad excuse for a winter hoodie you've been suffering in. These hoodies are built for serious cold weather. It's got 340 GSM of bearskin fleece, 10 legit pockets. And like I've shown you, there's pockets on top of pockets, pockets everywhere. It's a great, great hoodie.
All right, welcome to Starbase, Texas. This is a city, it's actually legally a city, that thanks to the hard work of the SpaceX team, we built out of nothing, and is now a gigantic rocket manufacturing system. So, and for people out there who are curious to see it, we're actually on a public highway, so you can come and visit and drive down the road and see the epic hardware. So I think this is the first time that a rocket development program has actually been on a public highway. So you can come and see the epic stuff. We're honored today to have the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and much of the senior leadership of the Pentagon here. It's an honor to have them visit. We just did a tour of the factory, and I think it really helps illustrate how manufacturing and manufacturing at scale is critical to the strength of America. So, and I'll tell you a little bit just about the purpose of SpaceX. It's like we want to make Star Trek real. Okay? We want to make Starfleet Academy real, so that it's not always science fiction, but one day the science fiction turns to science fact. And we have spaceships going through space, big spaceships, with people going to other planets, going to the moon, and ultimately going beyond our star system to other star systems, where we may meet aliens, or discover long-dead alien civilizations. I don't know, but we want to go, and we want to see what's happening, and we want to have epic, futuristic spaceships with lots of people in them, traveling to places we've never been to before. Yeah, that's that's the goal. And that's what I think the public thinks of when they think of Space Force. So, on that note, I'd like to introduce the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
Thank you, Elon. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. How about this? Star Trek real.
Star Trek real. Yes.
Appreciate it. I love it. Well, what a tour. What an opportunity to be here at Starbase, Texas, with Elon and the SpaceX team. There's nothing like this in America. There's nothing like this in the world. And what you have built and what you will build here is a testament to the strength of American ingenuity and American invention. So I want to thank all of you, all the folks out here for having us today. Elon, thank you so much for hosting us, for what you built, for the vision you have for this company, the vision you have for our country, the vision you have for American innovation. I could not think of a more fitting venue to continue our Arsenal of Freedom tour and to outline today the future of technological innovation at the War Department. Those of you here at SpaceX will appreciate this, knowing that as World War II was ending, the Secretary of War and Secretary of the Navy wrote to the National Academy of Sciences and declared that scientific research was essential to our national security. To ensure continued preparedness, they wrote, the research scientists of the United States must be called upon to continue in peacetime some substantial portion, that of which they have made so effectively during the stress of the present war. The competitive time element in developing those weapons and tactics may be decisive in future conflicts. You see, those secretaries of war and Navy many decades ago recognized the importance that innovation and readiness holds for our national security. They knew what was at stake, the very freedoms of the country we hold dear. All across the United States today, extraordinary innovation is unlocking new possibilities for freedom, prosperity, and security. Now, the question before us is not whether or not the most powerful technologies of this century will reinforce free societies. Is it going to reinforce our free societies, or will that technology be shaped and twisted by malign regimes that seek to use those technologies for control and coercion? You see, over the past several months, I've talked at length about the challenges we face in transforming the War Department to address current and future missions, all in service of meeting the needs of the 21st century warfighter. I'd like to think we've already made dramatic progress in the Pentagon's culture by reviving the warrior ethos, and we're moving out quickly in transforming our acquisition ecosystem as well. But today is about how we supercharge innovation at the War Department for the era ahead. Innovation is happening at a pace we can't even foresee, and we need the entire enterprise, our enterprise, to embrace the urgency required for this moment. Since the end of the Cold War, the defense industrial base in our country has consolidated. This makes it difficult, if not impossible, for new creators of technical innovations to win business at our department. The result is a risk-averse culture that prevents us from providing our warfighters with the best resources that America has to offer. That ends today. Simply put, the United States must win the strategic competition for 21st century technological supremacy. Artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, quantum, hypersonics, and long-range drones. If you talk to Elon Musk long enough, he will tell you how important hypersonics and long-range drones are, and he's 100% correct. Space capabilities, directed energy, and biotechnology are the new areas of global competition. The challenge is that our legacy approach to technological development assumes that technology moves in a predictable, linear conveyor belt from lab to design to development to prototype to test and qualify to program of record, and can only be provided by a handful of companies that have consolidated dramatically. Now, while this system provided us with the weapons that won the Cold War, it is archaic and inconsistent with the novel threat environment that we face today. At its core, this old approach has the hubris to assume that you can easily predict the future, that you can foresee how an invention becomes a weapon in 8 easy steps, 3 decades from first discovery. Our system cannot keep treating innovation as a decades-long, one-way march that dramatically reduces who and what is able to run the gauntlet at our department to get the capability to the warfighter. Until this administration, the Trump administration, the department's process for fielding new capabilities had become just one more post-Cold War peace dividend relic that has not kept up with the times. Worse than that, we've done nothing but add layer upon layer of committees and councils that coordinated but never decided. We created endless projects with no accountable owners. We have high churn with little progress and few outputs. That sounds about like the exact opposite of SpaceX. We treated innovation as a box to check, not an outcome to deliver. In short, when it comes to our current threat environment, we are playing a dangerous game with potentially fatal consequences. We need innovation to come from anywhere and evolve with speed and purpose. You see, America's open scientific community is an advantage authoritarian regimes cannot replicate. They can read our scientific papers and copy our invention or distill our AI models, but they cannot replicate a culture like this one of open and distributed research. We need to be blunt here. We can no longer afford to wait a decade for our legacy prime contractors to deliver the next perfect system, only to find that it's delivered years behind schedule and cost 10 times what it should. Winning requires a new playbook. Elon wrote it with his algorithm. Question every requirement, delete the dumb ones, and accelerate like hell. That's why I want to make clear across the War Department and for our partners in the private sector that our Undersecretary of War for Research and Engineering, Emil Michael, right here in the front row, is the War Department's single chief technology officer, one CTO for the entire enterprise. Novel concept. As the sole CTO, Emil will set the technical direction, lead the innovation ecosystem that will welcome progress from anywhere it resides. And he'll tell me, face to face, every day, and frankly, whether we are gaining or losing the technology and innovation competition. He'll have the decision authority and will lead through rigorous evaluation with a focus on real, measurable outcomes. Now, Congress, and we have many members of Congress with us here today, will be our partner in this. By affirming the Undersecretary's role as the department's CTO, we're carrying out the core mission for R&E that Congress assigned in statute. The last defense bill expanded the CTO's authorities, including the power to direct military departments and other components to align around clear, innovative outcomes. We will use them to deliver those outcomes with speed and urgency. An empowered CTO will inject a disruptive mindset directly into our systems, directing the power of America's world-leading scientists and entrepreneurs, our cutting-edge labs, the tech ecosystem, and our capital markets to build what the warfighter needs, but to do so better, faster, and cheaper. And Emil is the right man to do it. You see, this isn't about military structure. This is about building an innovation pipeline that cuts through the overgrown bureaucratic underbrush and clears away the debris, Elon style, preferably with a chainsaw, and to do so at speed and urgency that meets the moment. As I've said repeatedly to every audience, the President of the United States and I have the backs of our warfighters who have to make split-second life and death decisions on the battlefield. Now, I want this audience to know that we also have the backs of innovators who share that very same urgency. American taxpayers, especially those parents whose sons and daughters have answered the call to serve, I swore in 10 more today, demand, and I demand, and we demand, that we arm our warfighters with overwhelming and lethal technology right now, not a decade from now. In modern warfare, the fastest innovator and iterator will be the winner. And no one can out-innovate an American entrepreneur who has been liberated from the constraints of stifling bureaucracy. That old era ends today. We are done running a peacetime science fair while our potential adversaries are running a wartime arms race. Right now, from garage startups to factory floors to boardrooms across our nation, the question of how to harness innovation coming out of America's AI ecosystem is front and center, and rightfully so, because it has the potential to disrupt and transform every area of human endeavor. The same is true in the Department of War. President Trump's AI executive order spells out our approach succinctly. It is the policy of the United States to sustain and enhance America's global AI dominance in defense of human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the War Department's mission. We must ensure that America's military AI dominance, so that no adversary can exploit that same technology to hold our national security interests or our citizens at risk. America first in every domain. Last month, I took the first step toward changing how the department does business with frontier AI technologies when we announced the rollout of Gen AI with our partners from Google. And I want to thank the Google team for leaning forward and making the investment to get their Gemini app to about 3 million users in the War Department. But today, we're excited to announce the next frontier AI model company to join GenAI.mil, and that is Grok from xAI, which will go live later this month. So I want to thank you, Elon, and your incredible team for leaning forward with us on this as well. Very soon, we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department. Long overdue. To further that, today at my direction, we're executing an AI acceleration strategy that will extend our lead in military AI established during President Trump's first term. This strategy will unleash experimentation, eliminate bureaucratic barriers, focus on investments, and demonstrate the execution approach needed to ensure we lead in military AI and that it grows more dominant into the future. In short, we will win this race by becoming an AI-first warfighting force across all domains, from the back offices of the Pentagon to the tactical edge on the front lines. The catalyst for this acceleration will be 7 pace-setting projects focused on mission threads across warfighting, intelligence, and enterprise missions, each with a single, accountable leader, aggressive timelines, and measurable outcomes that answer a familiar question, Elon. What have you accomplished this week? This is the execution standard for AI-first transformation. Each of the 7 pace-setting projects will use the following model. 1 owner who reports monthly on their progress. These projects will not be run in a vacuum, but will work directly with warfighters and transition partners to ensure we incorporate real-time operational feedback. We expect rapid iterations with failure accelerating the learning curve. These are not science projects. They are not governance boards. They are the execution standard for the entire department. We will not win the future by sprinkling AI onto old tactics like digital pixie dust. We will win by discovering entirely new ways of fighting. That's why we will run continuous experimentation campaigns, quarterly force-on-force combat labs with AI-coordinated swarms, agent-based cyber defense, and distributed command and control, pushing the envelope, learning from failure at every stop, which is exactly what this place does. You see, our department doesn't accept failure in the past, and so we never fail, which means we never learn. We're flipping that dynamic. Before talking about the new rules of the game, let me talk about a little bit more about our new team, because no game can be won without the right team. And we're proud to announce that Mr. Cameron Stanley has been appointed the new Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Officer, CDAO, of our War Department. Cam will be leading a new team, many of whom have foregone, thank you, or left lucrative careers at pioneer companies such as AWS, Databricks, Palantir, and Meta to join the fight. This team will not only provide a catalyst for change in this department, but will also act, we believe, as a magnet for other talented members of the tech community who want to join us in doing the mission-focused work to protect our great republic. So let's talk about the new rules. First, speed. Speed wins. Speed dominates. Our enterprise currently operates on staffing and committee cycles measured in months and years, and that's unacceptable. Military AI is going to be a race for the foreseeable future, where the risks to U.S. national security of moving too slowly outweigh the impacts of imperfect alignment. To do this, Cam and his team at CDAO will define AI deployment velocity metrics for all the pace-setting projects in the next 30 days and report at least monthly after that. These will become the new benchmarks for programs across the department. Second, bureaucratic blockers. If you work with Elon, you know he finds the blockers and you remove them. We will take a wartime approach to people and policies that block this progress. You want to block? You can work somewhere else. Barriers to data sharing, authority to operate, or ATOs, test and evaluation, and contracting are now treated as operational risks, not simply bureaucratic inconveniences. We are blowing up these barriers. That's why today, at my direction, I'm establishing a barrier removal SWAT team under R&E with the authority to waive non-statutory requirements and escalate to our great Deputy Secretary, Steve Feinberg, anything that slows down the acceleration of AI capabilities. Third, compute resource. We will invest heavily in expanding our access to AI compute, from data centers to the tactical edge, and will tap into hundreds of billions of dollars in private capital flowing into American AI. President Trump's executive order has directed us to build data centers on military land and to work with the Department of Energy to ensure that we dramatically increase the number and breadth of resources needed to power this computing infrastructure. We will work together with our partners at Google and AWS and Oracle and SpaceX, Microsoft and others on these initiatives. Fourth pillar, especially in this room, you'll understand it, is talent. We will use every hiring and pay authority available to us to bring the best American technical talent and reward effective AI transformations by our workforce. We're going to heavily leverage President Trump's Tech Force initiative to bring in the best and brightest from industry and academia. With people like Elon, David Sachs, Emil, Mike, and others from the entrepreneurial and business world already in government, we have shown that we can and that we must enlist the world's leading talent in this cause. Fifth, responsible AI. Today I want to clarify what responsible AI means at the Department of War. Gone are the days of equitable AI and other DEI and social justice infusions that constrain and confuse our employment of this technology. Effective immediately, responsible AI at the War Department means objectively truthful AI capabilities employed securely and within the laws governing the activities of the department. We will not employ AI models that won't allow you to fight wars. We will judge AI models on this standard alone: factually accurate, mission relevant, without ideological constraints that limit lawful military applications. Department of War AI will not be woke. It will work for us. We're building war-ready weapons and systems, not chatbots for an Ivy League faculty lounge. Sixth, and finally, data. AI is only as good as the data that feeds it. And the U.S. military has an asymmetric data advantage from 2 decades of military and intelligence operations that no other military in the world can replicate. But right now, we are underutilizing this advantage. Too much of our data is stranded. It's stuck in bespoke program databases, locked behind Title 10 or Title 50 stovepipes, invisible to operators, engineers, and industry who can help us exploit it with winning speed and scale. And that's why today, at my direction, CDAO will exercise its full authority to enforce the DOW data decrees and make all appropriate data available across federated IT systems for AI exploitation, including mission systems across every service and component. Each service secretary and component head will submit catalogs of their current data assets to the CDAO within 30 days. Denials of data access requests will be reported to the CTO within 7 days, and they better have a good justification. Today, I'm also directing the Undersecretary for Intelligence and Security, Brad Hansel, to ensure appropriate data from across our intelligence enterprise receives the same treatment and can be fully leveraged to warfighting capability development and operational advantage. AI is only as good as the data that it receives, and we're going to make sure that it's there. Persistent barriers to data access will be escalated to the Deputy Secretary of War for resolution, with authority to reassign or terminate personnel or withhold funding from non-compliant activities within the statutory limits. We'll be clear here. As I said, data hoarding is now a national security risk, and we will treat it that way. AI is an important part of the future, but here's another truth that we've ignored for too long. Beyond AI, we've treated every other kind of innovation as if they're the same. As you know, they're not. We need to break down unnecessary barriers to rapid technological development, adoption, and transition. Some of you will remember this. A generation ago, one of my predecessors, in a dinner speech to industry now infamously known as the Last Supper, advocated for the consolidation of our defense industrial base. This consolidation created a closed innovation ecosystem dominated by just a handful of prime contractors. The results have been characterized by soaring costs, sluggish delivery, and stagnant innovation. That's what President Trump's recent executive order on the defense industrial base and defense companies seeks to address. It makes crystal clear that the priority of the legacy prime contractors must be our nation's national security, not the next earnings call. That means less focused on stock buybacks and more investment on the men and women on the factory floor. It means less stockholder dividends and more investment in infrastructure, plant, and equipment. Today, that old era comes to an end. The Department of War is reopening to the disruptive energy and agile creativity of our nation's tech startups, funded by our world's leading capital markets. I'm directing my Chief Technology Officer to lead this charge, and his wingman, as always in this effort, Undersecretary for Acquisitions and Sustainment, Mike Duffy. For too long, we organized our ecosystem around stages and silos. Labs over here, so-called rapid units over there, commercial outreach in a different building or on another coast altogether, and warfare fighters somewhere at the end, almost an afterthought. The result is duplication, drift, and confusion. And like the acquisition process we are already fixing, the creation of organizations to work around the problems in the innovation ecosystem rather than taking the bold steps needed to transform it. We created an whole ecosystem to get around the actual system. No more. Every dollar of innovation, whether it may be in a lab or a startup or a classified shop, must exist to deliver one of three things: game-changing technology, scalable products, or new ways of fighting. If it's not doing one of those three things at speed, it will be realigned or it will go away. And that's why I'm entrusting Emil as the CTO to ensure that this directive across the department is rapidly carried out. Emil, you're going to be busy. Again, what we're talking about today is a transformation in the way we think about innovation. In requirements reform led by Mike Duffy, we killed an old model, a sclerotic model, and rewired the department so that problems, money, and experimentation live in one system. In acquisitions reform, we killed the defense acquisition system and created accountable portfolio acquisition executives, making speed to delivery our organizing principle. We're going to do the same for technological innovation. That's why today at my direction we are ending the alphabet soup of councils that meet and brief and write memos and schedule meetings, but never decide and rarely, if ever, accelerate outcomes. Effective immediately, the Defense Innovation Steering Group, the Defense Innovation Working Group, and the CTO Council are disestablished and abolished. In their place, the CTO will convene a CTO action group to assist him in making decisions, clearing bureaucratic blockers, holding leaders accountable, and most importantly, quickly delivering new technologies to our warfighters. Every organization in this ecosystem must earn its place by delivering warfighting advantages faster than our adversaries can adapt. No sacred cows, no exceptions. To back up the CTO, today at my direction, we are realigning two pillars of the War Department's innovation ecosystem. First, the Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU. Since its establishment 10 years ago, DIU has lived through shifting reporting structures and uneven administrative support, doing great things, but at times its portfolio overlapped with other parts of the department. Effective today, DIU is designated a Department of War field activity, providing exceptional tech scouting, rapid contracting, and other common services to the department, executed at commercial tempo. The CTO will provide support to DIU for administrative and resource matters and ensure that the unit's efforts fit into the department's innovation priorities. The director of DIU will also continue to report directly to me as a principal staff assistant and carry out its statutory duties. And I'm appointing Mr. Owen West, executor of my Drone Dominance Initiative, as the director of DIU starting in March, when the FY27 budget cycle firms up. As a Marine with lots of combat experience, Owen will bring a warfighter's mentality to DIU's core mission of transitioning technology to our troops. Owen also has the private capital experience needed to ensure DIU remains working hand in glove with the venture and investor communities and continues to on-ramp new entrants into the War Department. Owen led DOGE at DOW, the most effective DOGE effort across the administration, saving tens of billions of dollars for our department, and now he will lead DIU. Our world-leading defense tech startups have attracted billions of dollars in capital. They're reshaping warfare through the proliferation of high-tech, low-cost technologies. DIU's mission is to accelerate the adoption of this commercial technology to help convert entrepreneurial products into tangible combat power. Second, the Strategic Capabilities Office, or SCO, is also being designated a Department of War field activity aligned under the CTO. SCO will maintain focus on its core mission of identifying and prototyping disruptive applications of new systems. the unconventional uses of existing systems, and near-term technologies to create strategic effects. SCO will continue to maintain its statutory direct reporting relationship to the Deputy Secretary, but will be operationally realigned under the CTO to eliminate duplication and ensure the relentless daily focus on delivering near and medium-term capabilities to our warfighters. Relentless urgency and focus is our focus. Today's defense innovation ecosystem is too fragmented, resulted in insufficient technology transition to the warfighter. We address some of this in the transformation we are making in the acquisitions ecosystem, but it also needs to enter the innovation ecosystem. For too long, and I know a lot of you have experienced this, and others we met with in Los Angeles recently, the experience of founders and entrepreneurs has been running endless laps around the Pentagon, looking for the right office, the right program, and the right motivated sponsor. And too often new entrants are ultimately stymied by the bureaucracy. We hear it time and time again. They don't know where to go, and then when they go to that place, it's not the right place to go. Then they go somewhere else that didn't want them in the first place, and the lap continues. For example, SpaceX and Palantir had to sue the Department of War just to get a shot at competing for department contracts. The bottom line is that new entrants need both a shot on goal, but also faster yeses and faster nos from the department, rather than being strung along with a never-ending stream of rudderless maybes. At the Secretary of War level, we will replace the existing maze into two clear channels. The Mission Engineering and Integration Activity, MIA, will tell industry what problems we're trying to solve, and DIU will help program offices adopt what industry has already built. This will help get to faster yeses or faster nos. Clear guidance, clear guide rails, clear demand signal, which is what industry and capital expects. Now, this isn't just an Office of the Secretary reform. The services need to transform their innovation ecosystems as well: the Army, the Navy, the Space Force, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force. That's why today, at my direction, our military services will take the following actions. Within 90 days, the secretaries of the military departments will brief the CTO on service innovation plans, how they will consolidate, streamline, and refocus their labs, research expertise, experimental units, and rapid capability offices around 3 innovation outcomes. Our 60-plus labs are a national asset, but it's past time they were organized to deliver and not just to discover. And beginning with the fiscal year 2028 budget, every portfolio acquisition executive will fund an innovation insertion increment, III, dedicated money for the last mile, integration test, and rapid insertion of validation solutions into fielded systems. Innovation cannot be centralized, and it should not be. In fact, hope it's okay I name them, but just this past weekend I received an email, a proposal from an Army captain named Drennan Green, who I've known for a while. He had a detailed plan about how he and his unit wants to deploy AI. Innovation can and should come from anywhere and anyone, wherever those best ideas reside. We're going to bring that good captain in and hear from him. How can we apply those tools in his unit and other units, bottom up, not just top down? The military services and program offices own the last mile. And to that end, I'm directing the services to establish that III, innovation insertion increment, within the budgets of all program portfolios. This will ensure that they have funds set aside to quickly integrate innovations during weapons system development. This will be a tool to free new, innovative, cutting-edge weapons and improvements from the constraints of yearly budget cycles. Here you iterate in terms of hours and days, maybe weeks. In Washington, we talk in terms of months, years, and oftentimes multi-years. It's too slow. The CTO ecosystem will give them the supply. Services are contributors to this ecosystem, not bystanders. They must deliver outcomes, and they must deliver overmatch. And speaking of budgets and budget cycles, you may have seen President Trump's truth post of a few days ago. He's proposing a $1.5 trillion budget for the War Department in fiscal year 27. This is by far the most ever in our history, a historic and generational investment in American security. We will not squander this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to rebuild our military. Think of what this means as our efforts to transform the department come fully online. You add resources and you streamline process, speed to deliver those capabilities to the warfighter, an invitation to new entrants into the defense industry, which we need so badly, and an embrace of AI and other cutting-edge defense tech. All of this will make our forces more agile, more lethal, and more ready to deter and, if necessary, win a future fight. This is what President Trump demands, and this is what we will deliver. This feeds into a next area we need to fix. You see, reorganizing and a new attitude are not enough to truly unlock innovation for the warfighter. Our department needs to capitalize on a key advantage America has over her adversaries: the broadest and deepest capital markets and the best entrepreneurial talent in the world. You know this, capital is the lifeblood of American innovation. And therefore, to be successful, we need to embrace the role in our department of private capital, which we have not done for far too long. We need to be a better partner for private capital, so we can help accelerate capital formation in key areas and lower the risk for the department. Private capital is already helping to solve a major problem that President Trump has directed us to confront and solve across this administration: ending our reliance on competitors for access to rare earth and critical minerals. The Office of Strategic Capital, or OSC, under the leadership of David Lorch, is spearheading those efforts and delivering as we speak. In the past 5 months alone, the OSC team has deployed over $4.5 billion in capital commitments as part of closing 6 critical mineral deals, all of which will help free the United States from market manipulation. Crucially, OSC's strategy relies on crowding in private sector investors, from this VC community to our country's largest financial institutions. The 6 OSC deals to date include nearly $5 billion from our private capital partners. OSC has closed most of those deals in less than 30 days, which is Trump time for complex transactions. That may seem maybe slow for SpaceX. In Washington, that's as fast as it gets. I mean, that is warp speed in Washington. All of our investments serve one purpose: deliver faster for the warfighter. Now, some will want to cynically posit, is this just another innovation reorganization? Another set of strategies that brief well but don't actualize? No. This is the third leg of a single war plan. In fundamentally transforming our acquisition ecosystem, we killed JSIDs that focused only on process and turned the JROC into a body that ranks real-world joint operational problems, not paper requirements. We created the MIA to run experimentation campaigns to solve these problems. We killed the old defense acquisition system and created the warfighting acquisition system to focus on speed, risk, and accountability. With the AI strategy and innovation ecosystem transformation that we have just outlined, we are welding that third piece into place. The CTO, DIU, SCO, DARPA, CDAO, and OSC are no longer a loose federation. They are the Office of the Secretary of War's Innovation Operating System. DARPA delivers game-changing technology innovation and strategic surprise. DIU delivers scalable products. SCO delivers new ways of fighting. And CDAO and OSC provide the data, test, and capital to move at wartime speed. As of today, they are an ecosystem, an arsenal of ideas and action for the arsenal of freedom. wired directly into requirements, portfolios, and production. Game-changing technology, scalable products, new.
That wasn't me. That's the feed. The feed went down. So I'm waiting for the feed to come back up. We're still connected and everything. So we're just waiting for the feed. Their feed went down. All right. So let me, while we're waiting for the feed to come back up, let me explain to you what you're hearing. I can't. There's no way I can explain this. And I'm hoping that, you know, they do better with their feeds so people can see than what they're doing with all the stuff they just said. I'm sure it'll come back on. Here we go. It's coming back up right now. Here we go.
They're wrong. They do not have our entrepreneurs. They do not have our capital markets. They do not have our combat-proven operational data from 2 decades of military and intelligence operations. They do not have our hard-won classified technologies. They do not have the ingenuity and tenacity of American warfighters who refuse to lose. They don't have a military that can go 37 hours to downtown Tehran or downtown Caracas without being seen in the process. You see, but none of that matters, however, if we suffocate those advantages under a stifling bureaucracy. That's why we're unifying the innovation ecosystem, making this an AI-first department, and holding every lab, every program accountable, all while pushing every officer to deliver warfighting advantages faster than others can adapt. We will not stop. We will not back down. We will forge the new arsenal of freedom with our partners in industry and the private sector. We believe the future will be shaped by those who lead in technology and innovation. We don't believe, we know. Those who fervently believe in freedom and the Western tradition, like we do, must be those leaders. If not us, if not America, if not the West, then who? And if not now, it will be too late to maintain that advantage. This is not reform for the sake of reform. It never has been. This is about whether our warriors fight with yesterday's tools or they fight overmatching our adversaries using tomorrow's technologies. We know the threat. We know the opportunity. We know what must be done. We share the urgency. Now we will do it, and we must do it at wartime speed. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this company that you've built. And may God bless our great republic. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, please hold at your...
And click, they turned it off right like that. All right, so I thought maybe Elon was going to come back up and say a couple words. I'm going to attempt to try and explain what the hell we just watched. I will do my best. I don't think it's much explaining, more of an opinion. But let me rerun the bearskin information before we get into this, because I know your head is reeling, my head is reeling, and I'm thinking, what in the hell did we just watch? And I got one question. I'm going to come back, but I'm going to ask you the question right now. You ready? You ready? Why was that televised? I mean, he literally talked for almost 40 plus minutes. Why was that televised? Who was the intended recipient of that message? That's a question I'd like you guys to, put in the chat. Why was that thing even put on television? You guys have now, by now, have heard of bearskin hoodie. Matter of fact, if you're in Minnesota and you got to stand watch over your property, this might be the hoodie you want to watch. This might be the hoodie you want to put on tonight while you're trying to watch out for the hoodlums. Well, the smart people are grabbing theirs right now because when it's already freezing, you want gear that actually keeps you warm. Bearskin is running a 60% off deal right now. And I got to tell you, this is an amazing hoodie. So you can finally upgrade that sad excuse for a winter hoodie you've been suffering in. These hoodies are built for serious cold weather. It's got 340 GSM of bearskin fleece, 10 legit pockets. And like I've shown you, there's pockets on top of pockets, pockets everywhere. It's a great hoodie. It's got a tight muscular fit. Even at my size, this thing fits nice and tight. It's got a heavy storm rain jacket that turns into full waterproof armor. Whether you're into hiking, hunting, traveling, picking off, protesters, or just hate being cold, this is the last hoodie you will ever need. You'll get free U.S. shipping, fast delivery. You'll get SV texting you, and you're finally kitted out properly for winter. That's a win-win. So do yourself a favor. Text the word Barry, like it says on the screen, to 36912 to lock in your 60% off. Again, text it to Barry 36912, and you'll get a link sent straight to your phone so you can check it, and check it out later if you're busy, but you'll still get your 60% off. And when you shop with Bearskin, you're not just getting killer gear, you're also supporting the fallen outdoors and the Hope for the Warriors veterans programs. So don't wait till you're freezing. Don't wait until you're stuck out in the cold and you've got protesters climbing the fence. Do something now. Get a Bearskin now while it's 60% off. Text Barry to 36912. All right, so I've seen in the chat, a couple of you guys have a response to that question. It says, it was televised for the world to know, FAFO, Cuba, Iran, China, and Russia. That's the only thing I could think of, but there's another part to that I'm wondering that I'm going to get to as well, because most of that stuff was up here for me. I mean, I'm not even going to attempt to try and decipher all the things he was saying, but nonetheless, he was telling the world, anybody who tuned in, a couple different things. And those couple different things is basically, we have already constructed the Death Star. There is something with the Space Force, he didn't get into that too much, but they pretty much already have a working weapon that can do things from up there. He mentioned directed energy weapon. Now, some of you guys may not know what that is, but you might want to go look up what directed energy weapons are. Basically, it's freaking laser beams with, sharks with laser beams on them. Who knows? None of us really knows what happened in Venezuela. We've heard that account, but we don't know what exactly was dropped, shot, carried. They have no idea. Nobody else does either. Nobody knows what happened in Venezuela, and at the same time, nobody wants it to happen to them. Interesting. The other thing I noticed amongst some of the stuff that I'm talking to you about is Elon never left. That's complete conjecture by me, but I don't believe Elon ever left the fold. I think that was a head fake to get people to look over here while Elon was working on the Death Star and all that kind of stuff. See, one of the things I wrote down here as I heard him talking is that I don't think any of this could have been done in 12 months since President Trump got in office. Somebody had to have been working on this, Elon, someplace else. Somebody had to have been having an entire team of people that came and they were this close and like, I think we can implement it. We just need some testing. And was Venezuela the test tube thing? SB says this was part of an ongoing nationwide Arsenal of Freedom tour this month. In short, it was a high-profile stop to showcase public-private partnership in defense, push for faster production, and spotlight SpaceX as a key player in modern national security, especially in space-based assets. So no, this didn't happen in 12 months. And yes, Elon's been on the case the entire time. I also had something, and this is kind of funny. Do you think possibly, and I don't mean this woman losing her life, but all the other stuff going on, do you think that President Trump and Christie and Tom Homan came up with a plan to have these idiots chasing their tail, to have the media all staring over here, and none of them looking at what the hell happened in Venezuela? I haven't heard anybody. Wait a minute, I heard one person, Peter Doocy, tried to say, he looked at this heat ray or something. But other than that, I haven't heard anybody on the other channels even talk about what happened in Venezuela. They don't know. I know I would never expect Joe Biden to sit in that meeting. I know I would never expect Kamala Harris to sit in that. So there's no way that the Department of Defense, in my mind, with people running around with dresses and stealing all kinds of stuff and so worried about the blue hair trannies, I don't think they were working on the Death Star. Could be wrong. But they didn't have Elon last time. And maybe if they did work with Elon, because he was a defense contractor, he wasn't telling them everything. But now I'm watching these people run around in the street talking about ice. Oh my, ice, 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 ice. And I'm thinking, watching this is, you guys really have no idea what's going on, do you? You don't realize that they've already compiled a bunch of weapons that they could use at a moment's notice and use it quickly. He said that a couple of times. Lethality, the things he kept saying, he's been saying for quite some time. And now they've got some freaking laser beam stuff that can happen. What else did I take from that? Oh, our enemies are screwed. It's a very, very good possibility that our enemies don't have this kind of technology. Otherwise, they wouldn't be telling people that they have this kind of technology. And it's going to cause them to think twice. The other thing is, if our enemies abroad are screwed, are way behind, Canada, way behind, Greenland, not even in the race. You know who else is not in the race? The Democrats. With this kind of technology that I was trying to decipher for him, and understanding Elon's involved and everything that they're doing, you don't think they can trace money deposits? You don't think they can trace movements? You don't think they can trace who's supposed to be there, who's not supposed to be there? At this point, I'm going to begin assuming they know so much, the Democrats don't have a clue. If we've got this giant eye in the sky Space Forcey thing, and I'm just supposing here, and you dial in Minnesota and California and New York, and you're just compiling all kinds of data and where people are going and what they're doing. We've been talking so much about Insurrection Act. What if they already know what they can do when they execute it, invoke it? These people are done for here domestically. The other thing we remember what they did in Venezuela, or at least what we were told, is somehow they were able to turn off the lights in the entire country. What if, you're sitting back tonight and let's take Minneapolis. All right, what are we going to do? A, turn off all the lights in Minnesota. Okay. Now, drop the friggin' laser beam on them and make them go ahead and get paralyzed and poop their pants all over the place. Then we'll just have ICE go in and pick up the Somalis laying in the road. They would never know what hit them. Am I thinking too far? Am I thinking too crazy? No, I don't think so. the easiest way to keep and save ICE agents and save military people, they're not going to go in and start opening fire at Kent stateside. But I wonder if there's like can we turn it to like 4 and just have all of them just drop? We don't want to kill them. We just want them all to drop at once. And we'll just go in and pick up the Somalis and just put them on a truck and let's go. Am I thinking too space age? Nah, I don't think so after what I just heard. You guys can tell me otherwise. What else do I have here? This is a big one. You don't think at this point they've got some sort of algorithm, robot, something that can look at voting machines and understand who's messing with the voting machines and find anomalies with the script so they can see who's trying to enter into the voting machines? Prior to tonight, I would have been like, oh, that's far-fetched. After hearing this tonight, I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea if they can monitor anybody accessing something from another country or something to see if they're messing with the votes. I have no idea. What else did I have here? Money transfers from across the world. People want to send money home. You don't think that possibly I'll call it the Death Star, can see and every single money transfer going in and out of this country, and we're going to run an algorithm and tell me all the ones that came from Minnesota? Yeah, that could happen. What else? Surveillance, of course. Of course. You know, I've never heard anything like what I just heard. Most of us have never heard anything like we just heard. And now it's like, I don't know, but all of us probably have ideas as to what the hell is going on. You're all functioning frontal lobe adults. You just heard something that we've never heard in our lifetime. I know a couple of people said that thing behind him looked like the robot in Lost in Space. It did. I was expecting it to go, and I'd have been freaked out. There's something happening we don't know about, and this stuff could just be absolutely incredible. I mean, Space Force. Imagine that technology in the hands of Waltz. No, it would never have happened. Never would have happened. Trump has said many times he has it all. Exactly. Is Elon, the boom boom, somebody asked, is Elon a closet hacker? Turn the lights out in Venezuela. I don't know if he's so much a hacker or if they've written a program and they can tell a power plant that you're going to go off at like 9 o'clock. I don't know. But after hearing that, I know we are light years ahead of other stuff. I can't even imagine where we were when Biden left office and where we are now. It's incredible what we just heard. And the funny thing about it is there aren't many people who could actually create a foundational opinion as to here's what you just heard. No, that was up here, way up here. We're all left wondering, what, huh? What? And people are in the comment section saying, Barry, you going to explain this? Oh, no, hell no. No, nope. I'm going to have to sit and watch Mystery Theater 3000 or something. I don't know. I don't know if we just saw Klaatu sitting behind Pete Hegseth. I don't know. But what I do know is that we saw an article that Karoline Leavitt retweeted that said that they basically melted people from the inside out. It was funny because the guy in that article said there was something that was firing 300 bullets a minute. And I was like, and I heard from so many people, oh yeah, they've got it. Here's the, go look, here's the gun. It can fire up to 600 rounds like a minute. What? How do you carry that thing? Well, maybe the thing that was carrying it was a giant transformer robot that was, who am I killing? Because every duck. How are you going to get back up in the helicopter? I'm going to jump. I've watched too many sci-fi movies, but now I feel like we're living in sci-fi. Everything that I'm joking about, I can't tell you it's not happening. Everyone is okay. That's what it was called. Yeah, Mystery Science Theater 3000. I have no idea. I have no idea what we just saw. But I think this does Shasta Gray, where no man has gone before, and he looked so confident. That's the one thing I keep looking at these people. How do they look worried, or do they look extremely confident? And he looked extremely confident. And it was also noticeable to me that Elon Musk just pretty much went, so let him talk. Bye, gotta go. Come on, Elon, that's all you gotta give us? Yep, I'm gonna go fade in the background here, and I'm gonna let Pete tell you a whole bunch of stuff that we're working out here on Starbase. Otherworldly stuff. And if I was Iran, if I was any country at this point, I would he has said it. You better do the right thing, Venezuela, because you might meet a fate worse than Maduro. Did you hear the reasoning why people are saying Maduro had to change his clothes so much? Because people were like wondering, why is he in the Nike thing and then he had a blue thing on? Well, the rumor is he may have got the remnants of the freaking laser beam, and he was shitting himself the whole way back to the ship. And so they had to keep changing his clothes. I don't know if that's true or not, but I could imagine it being true if something was, putting a hand grenade inside your insides, even if you were behind the other door. And I don't know. Here's what I do know. Here's what you should know. They're on our side. Whatever he was just talking about, however he was describing it, whatever the lethality that they now have, thank God they're on our side. I would hate for that to have been in the hands of a communist. I would hate to have that be in the hands of Biden and Kamala and Tim Walz. I thank God whatever he just described is for us. I'll be right back.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
I saw a couple of you guys had written something to this effect. Barry, I think those things in the background were Elon's most advanced Raptor engines for his space program. And I am not doubting you. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What is a Raptor engine? Where does it go? How does it work? I have no idea. But thank you. I got Raptor engines, huh? I don't know. I don't have that capacity. I don't have that clearance. And if I did have it, I feel like I'm going to have to go watch another season of Person of Interest. Oh, by the way, I've been telling you about that show for quite some time. I'm rewatching season 4 right now. Have you guys ever seen the series Person of Interest? Right now, I believe it's on Prime. But man, there's some stuff in there that I've been watching the last couple nights, and I'm like, oh, that's actually happening. That is actually happening. All this stuff about AI, the entire show is about AI and this giant brain that runs everything. And in that show, If you guys have seen it, you can tell people in the chat. In that show that was, 2014, 2013 is when it came on, there was this big, giant AI thing that could do all kinds of stuff like change the stoplights. It could go in and change all kinds of different scenarios. It would run ideas. It could tell, hey, so where should I turn? Turn left here. Oh, okay. Go watch that show and sit. And now with what we know tonight, go ahead and watch that show. Go ahead and turn it on and go, oh, hell no. Oh, no. That's 2013. That's 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Watch a season of that. And then tell me if you don't, it weaves in like precogs and AI and all kinds of stuff. Surveillance, immediate scans of bodies and faces, who's going to die, when they're going to die. And here we are with freaking sharks with laser beams and raptor engines. I have no idea. I don't know idea where we are. Yeah, people are saying, yeah, Person of Interest is so good. If you guys never saw it, go ahead and watch some of those episodes. You'll come back in the chat going, oh my God. Did they really write that story in 2013? Yeah, they did. Ask Rock. What else we got here? X is showing that there will be a walkout on January 20th to what are they going to do? To demand the impeachment and removal of President Trump. Okay. Hope that works out for you. Oh my God. All right, so let me go to the next segment. I got a couple segments for you tonight. This one's interesting. Karoline Leavitt, after being on Fox this morning, if you saw the show I did this afternoon, she did a walkout into the Sticks. The Sticks is that area next to the White House where, like, if you've ever watched when we've had Monica Page on, and they have like all those little tents where people can do their hits to the different networks and things, or talk to people like me. Well, also, every once in a while, somebody from the White House will just walk out there into the Sticks and just talk to the press that's out there. It's like an impromptu press conference. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
Everybody, back to that. All right. Well, happy Monday. It's good to see you all here. We have another busy week. When is it not a busy week here at the White House? As you all know, we'll be traveling to Michigan tomorrow. I know the president's really looking forward to it. He's going to give a speech at the Detroit Economic Club, in addition to touring a factory in Dearborn, Michigan, that produces F-150s. And my understanding is Ford is ramping up that manufacturing and also going to be hiring more American workers at this facility thanks to President Trump's policies. So he'll be doing that tomorrow and talking about all of the great economic news, which I would be remiss if I did not point out to you all. All
right, before she starts pointing that out, she told us about that when she was on Fox. She reiterated, and of course we will be covering it. It's supposed to be at 2:00. I don't know if 2:00 is on Eastern time or what time 2:00 is in Detroit. I'll go ahead and post, but we'll cover that live as well.
Mortgage rates falling below 6% for the first time in years. Thank you, NBC, for this very fair and honest headline. But this is the truth, and these are the facts thanks to President Trump's economic policies. So frankly, they're hard to deny. And then again, we have the Washington Examiner out this morning with gas prices. The national average has fallen to $2.79 per gallon for the first time in nearly 5 years. So these were two of the biggest pain points for the American people, as you all know, under the previous administration. Gas prices, mortgage rates, interest rates, all things that this administration is committed to seeing fall. In addition to prices, we know core inflation is at its lowest point as it has been in 5 years. And so these economic policies are really coming to fruition now that we're in 2026. But we'll be seeing more tax cuts into the pockets of the American people later this spring as well. So it's all good news on the economic front, and I know the president looks forward to talking about that tomorrow in Michigan. I'll take some of your questions. So,
was the first thing that the Fed chair should be in jail?
After how President Trump has mentioned on multiple occasions that the administration could probably bring a lawsuit against him. Did the president ever direct DOJ officials to open an investigation?
No.
And can you reassure the American public that his long-standing criticism and public comment about Powell had nothing to do with me?
Look, the president has every right to criticize the Fed chair. He has a First Amendment right, just like all of you do. And one thing for sure, the president's made it quite clear, is Jerome Powell is bad at his job. As for whether or not Jerome Powell is a criminal, that's an answer the Department of Justice is going to have to find out, and it looks like they intend to find that out.
Two more questions on the Fed for you. Senator Tillis is promising to hold up all Fed nominees until this legal matter with Jerome Powell is resolved. Well, what does the president make of that?
I haven't spoken to the president about Senator Tillis' comments. I'll leave that to our legislative affairs shop to figure out, and I'll let the president speak on that himself.
Go ahead. That the Fed should operate independently.
The president has made it quite clear he thinks Jerome Powell is bad at his job, and the president has made it quite clear, as have many economists, by the way, that interest rates should be lowered, and they should have been lowered a long time ago.
But does he believe in the independence of the Fed?
He has, and he said that many times.
Does the president believe that Jay Powell should go to jail if he lied about
Does the president, Eamon, you're yelling out a question that's being asked in a different way, but it's the same exact question as Ouija just answered, and I just answered it. We'll let the Department of Justice determine that.
President strikes off the table in Iran, and does he believe there's a potential path to end the protest there without military action?
Well, I think one thing President Trump is very good at is always keeping all of his options on the table, and airstrikes would be one of the many, many options that are on the table for the commander-in-chief. Diplomacy is always the first option for the president. He's told all of you last night that what you're hearing publicly from the Iranian regime is quite differently from the messages the administration is receiving privately, and I think the president has an interest in exploring those messages. However, with that said, the president has shown he's unafraid to use military options if and when he deems necessary, and nobody knows that better than Iran.
Mr. President, Caroline,
Go ahead.
Steve Witkoff talking to the Iranian diplomat.
I understand that Steve Witkoff will continue to be a very important player in diplomacy with respect to Iran.
Trump have confidence in Delcy Rodriguez.
I think the last week has shown that the president made the right, realistic assessment of what needed to take place in Venezuela at this moment in time. And the interim authorities and Delcy Rodriguez and her team have been very cooperative with the United States and the president and his team, as evidenced by the massive energy deal that the president was able to cut with the interim authorities, their commitment to release Venezuelan political prisoners, which we also saw last week. So we've seen a great level of cooperation, and the president expects that to continue. Go ahead. Sorry.
Then how soon does they want to see elections in Venezuela?
I think right now it's still too soon to say, and I don't want to set a deadline for the president.
How was the meeting this morning with Marco Rubio about Venezuela? What can we see this week on Venezuela more?
The president meets with the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor daily, sometimes multiple times a day. And so it was on a range of topics, as it always is.
Dr. President John on Venezuela. What possible steps would the White House like to see as interim authority? I think the stop Iran as Hezbollah operating in the country. Have those authorities done any how not done?
I think right now the main correspondence with the interim authorities is really focused on obviously ensuring stability and prosperity and continued cooperation with respect to energy. As you all know, there was a very powerful and big group of oil executives who were here at the White House on Friday, and so continuing to iron out some of these energy deals. We also have made it very clear, the president's made it very clear that we don't want to see any more jug boats sailing from Venezuela towards the United States of America, which we have not, frankly, in the last week. President's also made it very clear that only oil tankers that are approved by the United States of America will be flowing from Venezuela, and we will continue to seize ships that are stateless or that are not approved for commerce by the United States.
Back to Iran, is the objective in these discussions with Iran still complete denuclearization, or what else is the president looking for as he, engages in this.
Well, he's made it quite clear he certainly doesn't want to see people being killed in the streets of Tehran, and unfortunately that's something we're seeing right now. Kelly. I'll get to you, don't worry. Kelly.
Spoken with Iranian officials today, and has President Trump spoken with Elon Musk about the internet situation there as well?
I understand he has spoken to Elon about that. Yes, he talked to all of you about that on the plane last night. What was your first question, Kelly?
Has Witkoff spoken with Iranian officials today? Could you give any updates on those conversations?
I haven't spoken with Mr. Witkoff today about that, but we can certainly get you now.
So let me interject with something here. I have no idea. I'm not trying to be tinfoil hat, but we know that Elon Musk dropped a whole bunch of Starlinks into Iran so that the Iranian people would be able to, get messages out to the rest of the world. What if these Starlinks can also do other things? I'm not a programmer. I have no idea, but if it's shooting signals up to a satellite, it might just be more than the data from a phone. Who knows what else that thing can be looking at? And he's dropping these Starlinks into these countries where the Ayatollah as a whole is trying to hurt people. Who knows what kind of data that thing is feeding back? Temperature, wind, locations, surrounding areas. Can you imagine if we're dropping in some sort of technologically advanced weaponry that can be used to pinpoint certain people? I have no idea. I'm talking out of my butt, but after what I just saw, I'm not putting anything out of the question here, what those Starlinks are.
Archbishop, luckily is here. President
Yes,
Trump is meeting with Archbishop.
Great interest to you, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and they may be speaking as we're speaking. Can you give us a preview of what they'll be talking about, or will there be a readout as well after they're done of what they discuss?
I can see if the president will provide you a readout. How's that?
That sounds good. And also, President Trump, has he seen the video put out by Jerome Powell on Sunday? And if so, what's his reaction?
That video was put out after I was with the president when Air Force One landed last night, I believe. So I was no longer with him when that video came out. I don't know if he's still here.
Does the president have a deadline or a timeline?
No, he has not set a timeline, but it's definitely a priority for him. She's asking about Greenland, and I think the president was very clear last night. He said that he wants to see the United States acquire Greenland because he feels that if we do not, then it will eventually be acquired or even perhaps hostilely taken over by either China or Russia, which is not a good thing for the United States or for Europe or for Greenland as well. Let's not forget, it would not just be in the best interest of the United States, but perhaps it would be in the best interest of Greenland as well to be part of the United States if protected by the Okay, let me finish my answer. Everybody's screaming. Go ahead, Monica.
John, what did the president mean last night when he said that Iran had called to negotiate and that there may be a meeting that is set up?
I mean, what else do you...
So somebody posted in the chat, they've never seen me stumped. One thing you're going to find out, I don't know how long you've been watching me, I'm not going to just tell you I know something if I have no clue. I have no clue what we're seeing these days. I don't think many people on this planet know what the hell we're watching. Even the guys who got wasted in Venezuela, if that story was correct, they said, I don't know what hit us. So for people to have conjecture, that's fine. People can have ideas, or people smarter than me. There's engineers all over the place, and people can say, I think it was this, or I think it was that, but none of us really knows. And so I'm just being honest. I have ideas, but I do not have any confirmation of anything that they're working on. And after hearing what Pete said, I just sat back in my chair and went, oh, God, what are we looking at? What exactly are we looking at? I know that scares some people. Well, pray about it. Pray that it's in the right hands, whatever it is. We need to pray and make sure this stuff doesn't get in the wrong hands. It seemingly is in the right hands right now. But we have no idea what they are unleashing upon the world.
You explain by that.
We would be a part of that.
There was an official from the Iranian government, I believe it was reported earlier, that reached out to a member of the president's very close team, Special Envoy Witkoff, expressing a far different tone than what you're seeing publicly.
Secretary Kristi Noem has been front and center in response to this ICE video. Is the president satisfied with her efforts there? than all of her media interviews?
Yes, 100%. President Trump and I actually spoke about this last night, and how Secretary Noem is doing a phenomenal job, not just securing the border, which she and the president did together in record time, but also in defense of the brave men and women of ICE who put on a law enforcement uniform every single day to protect our communities and to protect all of you and every American, regardless if they are Democrat or Republican. ICE is doing a very important job to remove illegal alien criminals from our communities. And I think it's very striking that all weekend long, you had agitators and violent American citizens out in the streets of Minneapolis protesting. Protesting what exactly? Apparently, they are protesting the removal of heinous murderers and rapists and criminals from a city that I can guarantee you, when you look at the list of the illegal criminals that ICE is removing from our communities every day, not a single person in those protests and not a single person standing here that works in the mainstream media in Washington, D.C. would want those individuals in your neighborhood, in your community, around your children and around your families. ICE is doing an incredibly important job that's not just important to our homeland security, but our national security. And this administration will continue to stand wholeheartedly by the brave men and women of ICE, including that officer in Minneapolis who was absolutely justified in using self-defense against a lunatic who was part of a group, an organized group, to interject and to impede on law enforcement operations. And it's disgusting what we have seen from the left. And I think that it just shows you where the modern day Democrat Party stands today in protecting illegal alien pedophiles and rapists and murderers over law-abiding American citizens and our brave men and women who serve in law enforcement.
I love how she just walks away. I'm done now. I'm done with you. Very, very good. I mean, what we're seeing in Minnesota, I'm going to segue into a piece about Minnesota right now. I'm not sure if you heard the news that happened about 4 o'clock, 4:30 or so. And the libtards have decided to even play their cards even worse. The libtards in Minnesota are suing the Trump administration to keep the newcomers in Minnesota and to remove ICE. This is beyond comprehension. You won't believe it.
We don't use the word invasion lightly. What we are seeing is thousands, plural, thousands of federal agents coming into our city. And yeah, they're having a tremendous impact on day-to-day life. And it's a negative one. And whether that's kids that are trying to get to school or businesses that are trying to open, that's police officers that are responding to 911 calls. It's just about being able to conduct daily life right here in our city. And look, this is not about fraud. When you have a fraudster, you investigate, you charge, you prosecute, you hold the person accountable, and then they get put in jail as an individual. They get put in jail as an individual. You do not hold an entire community or an entire city accountable for the actions of the fraudsters.
Yeah, actually you do. You actually do, Jacob, when you decide you're not going to facilitate and you're not going to work with the federal government. When you give the federal government the middle finger and you tell the federal government you are not going to help, then they have to go in with a giant, colander, and they got to sift through everybody to find where the bad guys are. It would be very simple. All of this would go away if you just cooperated with the federal government. And everything you're about to hear will probably piss you off, but it's complete conjecture. And what bothers me is that they'll probably get some judge somewhere to go ahead and say, you got to get rid of ICE. And just understand the picture that paints. It paints a picture that these newcomers are given more power than the federal government. They're telling the federal government, you cannot exercise your oversight of people who aren't supposed to be here.
That's not a novel concept. That's just the way this works in American society, and we should be abiding by that.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And let me say thank you, Mayor Herr. Let me say thank you to the men and women on our local law enforcement is a violation of the 10th Amendment and the sovereign laws and powers of the Constitution grants to states. We allege that DHS's use of excessive and lethal force, their warrantless racist arrests, their targeting of our courts, our churches, houses of worship, and schools are a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act on arbitrary and capricious federal actions. And we ask that the courts will end the surge of thousands of DHS agents into Minnesota.
This guy himself, who may find himself in jail, is going to a court to have the court stop the federal government from doing what they have to do in the Constitution in terms of immigration. And he's calling people racist and everything else, which shouldn't matter if they're black, green, yellow, pink. If they're not supposed to be here, period. They're not supposed to be here. There's nothing else you need to go over. I don't care if their hair is kinky or if their hair is straight and long. If they're not supposed to be here, that's it. And this would go so much smoother if you actually did your frickin' jobs. But you're trying to resist. You're trying to protect that, newcomer population that's been doing all kinds of fraud.
We ask the courts to end the DHS unlawful.
All right, we're back. I don't know why that keeps happening. I got a bunch of tech people looking at it, but I just put on that music so I didn't keep going through the show and you'd miss it. Okay, back to this lady.
Profiling our residents, creating mass chaos, and undermining the relationship between local government and our communities. We will not stand idly by and watch this happen. With this collective action, we are taking a firm stance to tell federal law enforcement that this cannot happen in our country. It cannot happen in our state. And it cannot happen in St. Paul. Federal law enforcement is going far beyond what they can and should be doing to enforce immigration laws. They are endangering our community's safety, straining our resources, and sowing distrust.
Oh, did I tell you she's a newcomer? Did I tell you she's not supposed to be here? She's actually been the mayor of, Poopy Town, and she's not supposed to be here either. She's suing when she herself could be, extricated.
Trust. While we know we can't control federal agents, we will pull every lever we have to fight back in every way that we can. They've come into St. Paul and needlessly invaded our neighborhoods and homes. They're targeting us based.
What's the legal definition of invade? How can they be putting invade in their paperwork? There's no way that a force of federal officers who have every right to be here can invade a city in America. These bleeding hearts who, if they put that in their filings, if they show that to a judge, right away that should be ripped up. You can't invade something if you work for the company that invading people. They're American law enforcement. Unless you don't consider Minnesota part of the Union, they cannot be possibly invading anywhere. They deserve to be here. The other people don't deserve to be here.
And what we look and sound like. Our residents are scared, and as local officials, we have a responsibility to act.
Notice what she said there. You got to listen to the words they say. Our residents are afraid. I don't give a crap about your residents. Nobody cares about your residents. How many Americans are afraid? How many Americans are you worried about? Residents encompasses these other people. I mean, they're doing everything to bend over backwards. Here, listen to this. This.
It's not even noon, and ICE has already kidnapped 5 of my neighbors.
That's how she started this video. It's already noon, and they've already kidnapped 5 of my neighbors. the stuff that they're putting out there is so wretchedly, horribly wrong, and they keep doing it.
Responded to one where we believe a whole family was taken with children. There are more federal agents in Minnesota than we have of the St. Paul and Minneapolis police combined. And yet, there are neighbors that are showing up in incredible ways, like standing in front of known targeted businesses, helping escort workers home. Today, I'm kicking off one of our first mutual aid grocery runs in my neighborhood. An easy way for folks to get involved, but it's because the workers have been pulled over time and time again, attempting to make deliveries to families that are too afraid to even go grocery shopping.
So you got a bright yellow shirt on, and we understand you're going to be delivering groceries to people who aren't supposed to be here. Pretty much all we're going to have to do is watch where you go. These people don't think things out. Okay, so you're going to be delivering groceries to people who are afraid to go to the store because they might get deported, which means they're probably not supposed to be here. So I'm just going to wait and watch and see where you go. These people aren't that smart.
We're also seeing troubling trends where HSI and ICE agents are rolling into city-owned parking lots like our libraries, rec centers, and our SPPD parking lots. If you see this, please record it to the best of your ability and submit to the Ward 5 office. I'll drop the email in the comment below. See you out there.
See, these people have taken it upon themselves like it's truly the resistance, like it's Hunger Games, and they're going out there. It's. I gotta believe after watching Pete Hegseth that we're watching some sort of thing where these people are just chasing their tails.
I want to thank Attorney General Ellison and Mayor Frey for taking a united stance for the people of Minnesota. And to our immigrant and refugee communities, let me be clear. You are a vital part of our city. You are loved and you are wanted. And you are important to the fabric of our state. That's right. As a refugee who came to this country, this is the state that welcomed my grandparents here in the late 70s, allowed our family to break the cycle of poverty in one generation, educated us, allowed us to build wealth, and within one generation have a new family members that are educated and a part of this economy and this workforce.
So I'm in the press. I'm like, did your family come in the front door or did you slide in? Be honest. They make no distinction between illegal and legal. It's all the same. Everybody deserves to be here. Nobody should be, deported. And so when they talk on these podiums, they mix it all together and nobody on the reporter side ever asked a question. So you guys were refugees. Okay, gotcha. How'd you get in? How are you allowed to stay? Ask the right questions.
That we need to continue to make sure that our state stays that, and that can't happen if ICE continues to run amok of our city and our state. And so we cannot let this federal administration divide us. We need to come together now more than ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
So now we have a few minutes for...
We have approximately 600 officers in the city of Minneapolis. Mayor Herr has approximately 600 officers in the city of St. Paul. The number of ICE agents and border control are now in the thousands.
Okay. If there are only 1,200 officers between those two cities, and you've got thousands, as using your own numbers, thousands of law enforcement in Minneapolis in that area, how would you feel less safe? How would you feel that these people who are law enforcement officers, federal law enforcement officers, how could you possibly feel less safe? You, by your own admission, just said they have double, if not triple, the amount of people you have. How do you feel less safe? I'm like, well, this is pretty good. I can go to the store. Yep, no problems. They're not doing police work. Not even the police are doing the police work right now. They're not bothering people who aren't supposed to be, doing what they're doing. And also, when you hear the stuff that they're saying to these officers, I mean, I heard one thing today where the guy was insulting an officer's wife and what he would do to her. If he knew his address, he would go break in his home and do all kinds of bad things to her. This is the stuff that these people are being subject to, and they're okay with that. They'll say anything, they'll do anything just to protect the newcomers. Why? Every single press conference you have, that's what I just got to ask. Why? What is so important that you're willing to go through this dog and pony show?
They are in the thousands. If the goal was immigration enforcement, if the goal were simply to look for people that are undocumented, Minneapolis and St. Paul would not be the place where you would go. There are countless more people that are undocumented in Florida.
See, now you're talking out your ass. Okay, when you start naming other states like Florida and Texas, the problem that you're stepping into is that DeSantis is working with the federal government. DeSantis is working directly with Tom Homan and Kristi Noem. That's why you don't see a bunch of crazy stuff down here. When they need to round people up, they just round them up. You have decided you don't want to work with the federal government. Notice the difference? Notice that there aren't people like doing crazy stuff down here? You just answered your own question. Why don't you just work with the federal government? Ron DeSantis does. Greg Abbott does. Pretty simple. Not that hard. It cleans up the city. There's nobody walking around out here feeling unsafe. Nobody. You're making it up as you go because there's something about these people, and I gotta believe it's a fraud because there'd be no reason why you would be subjecting your American clientele to all of this.
And Texas and Utah. Why are they in these much smaller cities in the middle of the Midwest? The answer is very clear. It is politics. Florida and Texas and Utah are Republican states. The reason that Minnesota and Minneapolis are being targeted is because you've got a Democratic governor, a Democratic attorney general, and you got Democratic mayors.
You mean that's the problem? That is essentially the problem. You're not doing your jobs. You've laid back. You've let these people do all kinds of things. Have you never heard of the Quality Leering Center? We don't have quality leering centers down here in Florida. We don't have roving men from Somalia down here in Florida. Nope, not existing. It's where you are that all this is happening. And it's happening because you are protecting the bad guys. There's no way around that.
We are doing everything possible to keep our cities safe through this unprecedented time. And at the same time, we have police officers that are tired. We've seen damage substantially because we're now having to pay a ton of overtime. Millions of dollars of emergency overtime for law enforcement. Emergency operations have been activated across our city and state agencies.
See, if I was in that press corps, I'd say, why? Again, the press just goes along with it. But my first question, hey, Mayor, you're saying you're having to do all this. Why? If there are 2,000 or 3,000 extra law enforcement people in the same city, it seems like the real bad guys, the crooks, the burglars, people like that, car thieves, they're not going to come out. So why are you having to pay overtime? Sounds like you have one of the safest areas in the country if you got your act together.
Pulling focus on daily core services that we, by the way, are tasked with providing. Local police officers are being diverted from the very work that we need to be doing. And small businesses are losing significant revenue, with some worried that they may not survive this at all.
Wait a minute, wait. What small business is going out of business because ICE is in town? What small business no longer can sustain itself or operate because ICE is in town? The Quality Leering Center, that one? Please give us a list of the businesses who cannot operate because there's too many law enforcement. I would love to see that. I would love to see the businesses that have to close. Unless, of course, you're talking about more things like the Quality Learning Center. Nobody calls these people on their BS. Just give me the names. I want to drive by their restaurant, their business. I want to see why they're closing. Maybe perhaps they were never supposed to be open. Maybe why they're closing is they're not getting the grift. The fraud's not flowing. Maybe that's why they're having to close. Because none of what he's saying is actually making any sense to me, because I don't know why my business would close. I'm a dry cleaner. I make clothes or clean again. Why am I closing? Because ICE is in town. But if nobody's asking the right questions, they can continue saying this crap.
People are scared to take their kids into school or daycare, to go into work. They're going to...
Did you just say daycare? Did you really just say people are afraid to take their kids to daycare? Were they afraid last week, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, when they weren't going anyway? What people can't bring their legitimate kids into daycare? Oh, are the people who run the daycare, are they in trouble? These are the kind of things when you start listening to what they say and you realize it has no foundation.
Have difficulty paying rent. There is no doubt in my mind the kind of action that the federal government is taking is not just mean-spirited. It's unconstitutional, and every one of us need to be standing up.
People have to understand that President Trump won this election and he ran on this. We had 20 million people enter this country illegally. The American people realize that this is unacceptable. We have a $38 trillion debt. We are running a $2 trillion annual deficit. We can't afford this. And the fraud that we are uncovering in places like Minnesota is a big piece of this problem. We are simply cracking down on the issues that won the president this last election. And what I also want people to understand is this. We need to be thanking these people for putting their lives on the line every single day to carry out the orders of our government. And the way to fight this is not to obstruct justice of the federal government, is to win an election. And because you lost this last election, these are the consequences, and you don't want to accept it. At the end of the day, we are on the right side of history. America needs to clean up our immigration policies. Those people that entered this country illegally did in fact break the law, and it is time for us to get very serious on this issue.
That was Representative Wesley Hunt, who couldn't have said it any better. That's why I didn't interrupt him whatsoever. Do you believe? I'm going to tell you something. The left actually has problems with what he just said. They are questioning and pissed off because elections have consequences. They are mad because he pointed out, you lost. This is what Trump ran on. And did you not think he was going to do it? Did you think that he was bluffing? And now that he's executing on his platform, they're freaking out. It's like they don't understand, elections have consequences. If you want to get out of this, you're going to have to vote somebody else in, which that ain't going to happen either. After what I just heard tonight, no more fraud there either. They're in a pickle right now. And this is Director Lyons.
Well, I was sitting here just thinking about it, and they talk about violations of the 10th Amendment, but we're not asking, any government agency in Minnesota to do immigration law for us, so I don't see how that's an overreach. What we're doing is we're doing our lawful law enforcement mission that Congress has on the books. So to me, obviously now it's pending litigation. I'm not going to go too much in it, but there were a lot of allegations there. That's a lot to unpack. And, I was sitting here listening to this whole entire press conference. And, the one comment right off the bat that just strikes me is that, we don't show a warrant for arrest. Well, Title 8 under the Immigration Nationality Act, ICE doesn't need a warrant to make that arrest. So there's a lot that I don't think they understand about what ICE is doing, and the allegations are just really sad.
You see this, he's right. There's so much what they said that doesn't make any sense. They don't need warrants. Everything they're trying to do is they're trying to convey American rights onto these newcomers. That's not going to work. But then again, after what I heard tonight, I think they're making these people chase their tail while they're doing something else. So we shall see. All right, so I know you've been here a while. We had an interruption. I've got two more stories for you. Both these stories are kind of short, but I told you there was something big happening in California, very big. If you guys haven't heard this, you will not believe it.
You're here. You're here. You've moved. You've domiciled in Texas.
Yeah.
This has happened.
It happened in December.
Yes.
And so we closed on a new house. We moved in, went to the DMV. I signed a lease for an Austin office for Kraft.
Nice.
It's done.
It's done.
It's done.
Okay. I'll get you a dentist and whatever else you need.
I got a doctor too.
Okay. Does this mean I have to bring Moose back? This has been the big discussion in our house. Does this mean we lose Moose, or do we have joint custody?
He needs a significant acreage to run.
So you guys are listening to David Sachs, who's now working with President Trump, and billionaire, and he's talking to other guys who are multimillionaires and billionaires on this podcast, and they're moving out of California. They're having to leave California. Some of you guys may say, why? Is it the politics? Nuh-uh. It's the insanity that's going on there.
Around, we know that.
Oh, he does. But he misses you, and I will definitely bring him by for a visit. And we'll be playing some backgammon, smoking some cigars.
Yeah, you got to come by.
Cannot wait.
I can't believe you haven't come by yet.
And Chamath, what about you guys? You guys going to come down? 2 of 4 besties.
Matt and I started the process in December. We are coming to check things out. We have not made any final decisions, though.
Okay. Shout out to our boy, Ro Khanna, for driving everybody out of the state.
Exactly. So I'm going to go in a little bit depth here so you understand what's happening. All right. So Chamath, the guy who said he's in the process right now, he's been talking to a lot of his other billionaire buddies up in, the tech world. And there's this new law that's happening in California that you will not believe the math behind this. It says collectively, the amount of billionaire wealth that has left California in the last month is now in excess of $700 billion. That means $2 trillion of California wealth they expected to tax is now down to 1.3 trillion and falling quickly. It would not be surprised if 2026 ended with less than 1 trillion of billionaire wealth still in California and decades and hundreds of lawsuits. A complete and total unforced error. Where was the governor? Where is leaders? If they don't kill this ballot initiative and entice those folks to come back, the California budget will be massively upside down. Only place to get the money is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse or increase taxes on the middle class. The latter is much simpler than the former. And if you see these guys here, those guys there, let me show you the other guy. Those are the founders of Google. They are taking their money and everything and getting the hell out of California. California cannot survive with all of these people taking their money out. So I know some of you guys go, no, it's just billionaires being pains in the butt. No, you won't believe what the government, what's his name? Gavin Newsom is doing. Check this out in detail, and you will realize there's no way this state can survive. Right, I'm going to tell you right now, California is on life support.
Here's the funniest thing is
sorry. I meant to hit this button. Larry and Sergey, the founders of Google, Alphabet, can't stay in California since the wealth tax as written would confiscate 50% of their Alphabet shares. Alphabet is the head company over Google and YouTube. It would confiscate 50% of their shares, but that's not even the worst part. Each own 3% of Alphabet stock, worth about $120 billion each at today's $4 trillion market cap. But because their shares have 10x voting power, the new law would treat them as owning 30% of Alphabet, 3 times 10. That means each founder's taxable wealth would be 1.2 trillion. Even though they don't have it, that's what California would use as the basis for charging them. A 5% wealth tax on 1.2 trillion would be a $60 billion tax bill. So I know if what Pete Hegseth made you like, what the hell's going on? This is making it worse. They are stealing wealth from wealthy people. Just completely bending them over and taking money and using some kind of weird calculation. And they didn't expect people to leave. That's 50% of their actual Alphabet holdings wiped out by what they're calling a 5% tax. Section 50303 of the 2026 billionaire tax states, for any interest that confer voting or other directional control rights, the percentage of the business entity owned by the taxpayer shall be presumed to be not less than the taxpayer's percentage of the overall voting or other direct control rights. So basically, if you own a company and you sell shares and you bring the money in, the company does well, but you sell X percent of that the stock, but you retain the voting rights in a much larger amount. They are going to tax you based upon what your voting stock is. I know it's confusing, but it's allowing them to incrementally, exponentially tax you for more money that you don't even have. That's not even there. Says that this means if a founder holds shares representing only 3% of the economic interest, but 30% of the voting control, the tax would presume their ownership stake is at least 30% per valuation, not just the 3%. The wealth tax is poorly defined and designed to drive tech innovation out of California. And there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on about that, right? A whole lot. The problem with it, because some of you guys might be thinking to yourself, I don't really care if the billionaires are crying, they got to whine, they got to run. That's not the big important part here. The big important part here is California is completely screwed. They don't have enough money to do all these different programs that they want to do, so they needed to tax billionaires even more so that they could somehow try and pay what they owe. The state is billions in the red. Billions. They can't afford to operate. And now that President Trump is going to be turning them off as well, they don't have any way to be self-sustaining. When I said earlier that President Trump was turning the spigot on all the deep state, he is, and they're doing stuff right now to themselves to make it even worse. And I'm not asking you to feel sorry for, billionaires. I'm telling you, this is bad for the entire state of California. And they won't be able to do any of the programs that they want to do. It's going to get really, really bad. Even Anthony Scaramucci, who doesn't even like Trump anymore, says the two Google founders per Gemini represented 23% of the aggregate billionaire wealth in California. Throw in Peter Thiel and well over 30% is gone. This is the perils of socialism. It ends badly. Remember what, what's his name? Mandami said, we will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. No, you're not going to be able to do that, and people who have the wherewithal are going to leave your state. What you're seeing happening in California is going to be replicated in New York. These people are not going to let you just destroy everything they've built because you want to have newcomers have it, come in and get free everything. It's pretty bad. It's really bad, and I just wanted to show it to you so you guys, I don't expect anybody to sit back and have any sort of empathy towards billionaires. I do, because they worked for it. They earned it. I don't believe the government should just take what you've earned. But that's what California is doing because they have to. The reason why they put this egregious tax in place is because they know that they cannot pay their bills. So what's going to happen when California can no longer sustain itself? When they can't pay their bills because of all these programs and all these people that they've let in their state. That beautiful state that can no longer find a way to balance the books. The amount of fraud in California is going to dwarf that of Minnesota. I believe they tried to basically cook the books real quick by trying to charge billionaires, and the billionaires are pretty much telling Gavin Newsom, go pound sand. You're not taking my money to try and fix and hide what you've done. And so now they're sitting there. And the only thing that Gavin Newsom can do is the thing that he doesn't want to do. He's going to have to cut a deal with Trump. And you know, if they do that, it'll come with all kinds of strings, bindage, rendering Newsom pretty much useless and destroying his capacity to run for president in 2028. What's the best way to it's a Sun Tzu law. You can take your opponent, dissolve your enemy without ever firing a shot. That's what's happening in California. Right now, Gavin Newsom is on the verge of being completely eviscerated, and nobody's paying attention. He had an idea they were going to try and steal all these people's money so that he could make it look good again, and that entire state's about to go ass up, which means there's no way he could run for president. It's amazing. If you follow that story, which nobody probably is even posting, it's crazy. And now it's so bad, you're telling me the founders of Google are leaving California? You're telling me that Mark Zuckerberg put in a Trump supporter as president of the company? The left is out here running around in the snow of Minnesota, and they're not seeing what's happening around them. All of their pillars are starting to dissolve into the sea. And I just wanted to let you guys know that you can do your own research on it. It's much more than just taking money from billionaires. He's basically cutting Gavin Newsom off at the knees because he's going to have to come in. Newsom might be able to have to step down as well. There is no way taxpayers should pay for Newsom's Newsom's incompetence and corruption. Yeah, crazy. All the fake politicians will be removed. And all of this is happening at the exact same time. That's the other thing. All of this with Minnesota and the fraud in California and fraud in New York, it's all happening at the same time. And the Democrats have no way to stop what is coming. They have no idea. The media doesn't have any idea. It's pretty crazy. Even this woman, you know who this crazy woman is. Even she's starting. I could not believe I heard this. Wait till you hear this video. This.
This woman was part of a group of people who they trained to try to be ICE interrupters. And what they try to do is observe what ICE is doing, film them, and try to use their white privilege, to be honest. They're mainly white people.
Which is what we ask.
Which is what we ask them to do, right?
Yeah.
Because black people, we can't put our bodies on the line because cops will shoot us. And so the presumption had been, particularly a white woman, because remember, part of the rationale for doing this with ICE is to save white women, pristine white women, from being ravaged by, criminal brown men. So white women, have been taking the lead in being the ones to step.
I listened to that drivel. I'm like, people aren't going to believe this. People are not. Now you got black women upset because the white women are using their white privilege to mess with ICE because they can't do it. You see what I mean? They're chasing their tails. They don't have any clue what the hell's going on. It's fun to watch. It's absolutely fun to watch these people trying to stay relevant, trying to inject themselves into this whole thing. And now you got the black women talking about the white women. Do you know there's a actual movement where you no longer are able to say the phrase, say her name? You know, when they were talking about the woman in Minnesota who got shot, and, people were like, say her name. Now you got a whole group of black women going, that's specifically for us. You're not allowed to say her name. That's just from our people. And I'm thinking, what the hell is happening? You guys you're fighting over chants. You're fighting over mantras. Say her name. We shouldn't be saying her name to her because she's white. This is starting to get otherworldly. All right, so I've been talking and yammering now for quite some time. I want to show you something, especially tonight, where the Steelers and Houston Texans are playing in a football game. When I say the different pillars of liberalism are starting to fall apart, and how you're hearing like even some of the black people wondering what some of the white people are doing, I want to show you something that happened yesterday. Those of you who watch NFL still, the Jacksonville Jaguars played the Buffalo Bills. It was a great game, and at the end, the Buffalo Bills won. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have a first-year head coach, and this first-year head coach did a press conference. And when he did the press conference, somebody was nice to him. Now you're going to hear what happened after that. But before I show you that, they didn't have any problem. They didn't have any problem whatsoever with this insanity.
The Timberwolves, recognized, her life and the tragic nature of her death, and it's shameful, really, that in our country we can have law enforcement officers who commit murder. And
all right, so this is Steve Kerr. He is the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, and he's long been a complete whack job. The problem with this is everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't care about his opinion. He did this under the auspices, as you can see, as the head coach, not as Steve Kerr. He was at a press conference after a game with the full team banner behind him saying this insanity. So people are asking it, is this bad? And of course, he didn't cause any problem. Nobody really cared. That's Steve. And so you're allowed to say things like that as long as it's, supporting liberals.
Seemingly get away with it. It's shameful that the government can come out and lie about what happened when there's video, and witnesses who have all come out and disputed what the government is saying. So
they don't even look. I'm pretty sure at this point that the people in Minnesota, the cause, activated people and asked them to go out there and say things, because like I told you, there's the cognitive dissonance and the confirmation bias that these people have. They are unshakable. I'm seeing her not be the person in the wrong, and there's nothing you can tell me from any of the angles whatsoever that's going to change my mind about the fact that ICE is out here murdering people. And I'm going to say that right in here as my official capacity as the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. And nobody in the media had a problem.
Very demoralizing, devastating to lose, anyone's life, especially in that matter. So it's terribly sad for her family and for her and for that city. And I'm glad the Timberwolves came out and expressed that sadness.
Okay, so maybe that was an anomaly. Maybe it was just one coach who is off his rocker. Barry, you're making it, there was nothing activated. If it was activated, there'd be more people talking like that.
What happened in Minnesota was a straight up murder, in my opinion.
It's not your opinion anymore. It's not your opinion. You're in front of the Milwaukee Bucks logo. You're at the end of a game giving a press conference as the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. It's not your opinion. You are now implying that it's the opinion of the Milwaukee Bucks. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but however, you are representing somebody else. I remember when I worked for a certain company, I had to actually put in my Twitter bio my own personal opinions. Hey, it's not representative of what the company thinks. And these idiots are sitting there just completely saying whatever kind of crap they want in front of the team banner, and not a single reporter questions them on it. None. Nobody.
And it's awful. This lady was probably trying to go home. And
why would you do that? Why would you say stuff you know to be untrue? This lady was just trying to go home. This is what they do. They lie completely to people's faces, and they do it with impunity, and they do it so nobody ever questions them. And the reporters won't say a word.
She didn't make it home, and that's really sad. So the whole ICE thing is it's a travesty. You know, it's clearly to me, it's we're attacking brown people.
We're attacking brown people. Let me look at Renee Good's picture. She was white. See, maybe he's talking about the Somalis. It's not about their race. They're not supposed to be here. They injected, or he just injected, race into this. It's about brown people.
And I just happen to be brown. And I don't think it should just be brown people who are upset at this. I think we all have to be. I don't care what side of this thing you are on politically. What's going on in our country right now is absolutely wrong as far as the race stuff.
See, they activated him, but they didn't tell him what to say. Get out there after the game. We're calling in a chip here, okay? So make sure after the game that you say something about this. Yeah, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, the lady got shot in Minnesota. Yeah, she was black. Oh, okay, so you want me to talk about it as a racial thing? Yeah, racial. There's no way he has seen a single video. There's no way he knows what the hell he's talking about. Somebody has activated people in the media, people in the celebrities in movies, and also now here in sports.
The politics, I'm not going to get into. The race stuff, I will, and it's just wrong, and we have to do something. But the only thing we can do right now is keep speaking up, because it doesn't seem like they care. And that's troublesome. Last thing I'm going to say, because I don't want to stay on this, but I could. I keep thinking about kids. And when I grew up, the president was always the role model.
He doesn't look much, I don't know, much younger than me. But which president are you talking about? The one that was sticking cigars up people's patooties? The one that, is playing with, his wife might be or might not be? That one? You can't be talking about Biden. What the hell are you talking about?
And I think about that and the effect of being a bully, lying. How is that good for our kids? And that worries me for our future. So I'll stop there.
How you doing?
All right. So you just heard two guys completely talking out their rear ends, making stuff up, just playing the liberal game. And the sports writers had no problem across the country. He's speaking truth to power, whatever the hell that means. It always didn't mean anything to me. It's truth to power. Now, I want you to see this next piece, because it's absolutely beautiful. And the sports writers around the country absolutely shredded, not the guy talking, but the reporter who dared to compliment him.
On the day, Lynn Jones, Jacksonville Free Press News. I just want to tell you congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank
you. Hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
You did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and ladies
you,
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am.
Did that sound bad to you? Did that sound like obviously she's a black woman. Did that sound like somebody who is saying something wrong by talking to the guy and giving him some props and saying, hey, young man, you're doing okay. Don't worry about it. Don't get your head down. She was propping him up, and the world imploded. They completely imploded on her. How dare you say stuff like that? It's not your job to compliment an athlete. Huh? You shouldn't. It's not your job to try and help somebody feel better. Huh? Yes, they actually said that. They've exposed themselves as trying to destroy sports. I knew it was coming, but now this woman, a black woman, says something nice to a coach, and she got vilified. And unfortunately for these people, one of the biggest names in sports podcasting came to her aid.
Hell yeah. Lynn Jones, Jacksonville Free Press, 27 seconds. Just to let Liam Cohen know. Probably, I'm assuming we need to reach out to Miss Lynn Jones. Obviously, we will try to do that. We should have done that. Better journalism on our part. We'll talk about journalism here in a second. But probably somebody that's been around for a little bit, probably been around a little bit, and just saying, hey, nobody expects you to do that this year. You know, you should hold your head up high. We appreciate you here in this city. You know, we probably talked to each other here a lot through the last season. You know, that's every day. The local crew is like, I'm not saying Lynn is. I'm just saying the local crew is like an everyday thing. Just want to let you know you did a good job this year. We appreciate you. 27 seconds. 27 seconds. That's
a lot of time.
27 seconds of, hey, yeah, good stuff. And then, you know, everybody in the sports journalism world say, this is out of line.
Yeah, they actually came out and said this woman was bad for giving somebody a word of encouragement. You can't do that in 2026. Our job is to rip your butt open. He posted this earlier. It caught my eye. I love seeing these sports journalists getting absolutely buried for being curmudgeon bums. Obviously, not all of them, but a large percentage of these things hate sports. They hate what sports are for. Happiness. That in itself told me they don't like seeing people happy. I've told you that many times about liberals. They don't like happiness. And she was bringing happiness to this man. He goes on to say, they're political journalists by nature who preyed on sports because they saw it as an easier path to so-called make it. Their days are numbered, my show being broadcast on ESPN 10 hours a week with zero creative say from any, quote, journalism school. Puppets is living proof of that, and that's why they attack me as much as possible. I'm happy the world is starting to see what they truly are. So it's even happening in the sports world. Now, we as a society have to stop taking these particular humans seriously. Thank you. Their opinions and thoughts are coming from a place of wanting to destroy sports. Do you know what they were talking about today? Today, what the Supreme Court was talking about, you know, it's coming in terms of the Transformer ban. And they were like talking about how it's all racist and homophobic and xenophobic and all this other phobia. You're sports writers, right? I mean, there's so much going on right now. We're in the middle of the NFL playoffs. There's people who had great games. There's people who had bad games. And your problem is somebody went, and I don't even say gave him a compliment, just said, hey, man, you did well. Attaboy. Somebody gave an attaboy, and it pissed off the sports world. Sports are the greatest thing on earth. I will salute that. These MFers have no idea, and they will never get it. Also, thank you to Lynn Jones, the woman who was speaking, for setting up a situation for me and all of us on how Liam Cohen, the coach, a man who might be a goat by the time everything's done, handles compliments during one of his most miserable moments. He handled it with class and humility. Feels like some journalism was actually done there. And it was like a wildfire across Twitter, where it's not your job to talk nice to somebody. But I can talk about the Trump administration and ICE murdering people. You got a problem with that? Oh, no, that's fine. Keep putting more of that, please. And I can tell that I'm brown and other brown people are being targeted. That's okay. Yes, more of that, please. More of that. Hey, young man, you did something good. Don't hang your head. Oh no! How dare you say something like that?
This
unbelievable.
Can't do it.
Can't have it.
What are we doing here? We got deadlines. What's your deadline? A tweet? What are we even talking about now in 2026 about a deadline? Everybody's on a deadline. First tweet out wins in everything. We are all trying to post stuff now at the same exact time. Now, I know you got to write an entire article, and those 27 seconds can certainly change, especially if those 27 seconds are supposed to be meant on miserable, terrible things. Okay?
Yeah, there's actually sports writers out there who just focus on bad things. They will talk about this guy and this thing, but the guy who was beating up his wife, no. The guy who did some assault to a woman, no, we're going to talk about. The guy who got arrested for drugs, no. The guy who was like doing stuff with masseuses, no. The guy who got congratulated for having a good year. That's what we need to go after. We need to make sure people know that is very bad.
If they're supposed to be miserable, terrible things, those 27 seconds aren't wasted. If those are dumb questions about things that you don't have right that happened on a football field that you just thought were happening, those 27 seconds are A-okay. But a positive, hey, you did good for us this year. We appreciate you. For 27 seconds, can't have it.
No place for it.
Can't have it. It's like, what a weird thing to come out publicly and say, this is disgusting. Who do you think you are to say that you think that's disgusting and it matters? Like, that is a crazy thing about the sports media people.
Right.
All right, so now Pat's absolutely right. But now here's where the funny thing is. Well, I find it funny. Wait till you see this woman. And when you see this woman, you're going to look at her and go, well, she checks all the boxes of liberalism. Well, yeah, she's got the big glasses, she's black, she's female, but she screwed up and she complimented a white guy. She made the white guy feel good. You can't do that.
Yes. Subscriptions going up for the Jacksonville Free Press.
Yes.
I mean, did you know this was going to throw you into the spotlight?
I did not. I really did not. I mean, it was a typical day. Go to the press box. And it was just an overwhelming day. I can tell you that this entire city, this town, our team, our city, and our coach, we were overwhelmed. I mean, and I really was not going to attend the press conference, but I left out. I was talking to a young man. I'm sure he knows who he is, 23-year-old young man. We're just talking about the game. I'm telling him I'm from Michigan, this and that, and I'm giving him some words. He said, ma'am, you need to go ahead and go attend the press conference. So I went back, I went down, went through how we maneuvered through. And I sat there and everyone was back there and then, Coach, word up, Coach. So Coach came out and his emotions, he was totally immersed. His feelings. He had tears, he bit his lip. And the issue is the question, not necessarily a question in the fourth quarter and the fourth down and the punt came through.
Right.
But my question was, keep your head up, young man. Yeah. Young man, this entire year, we have rooted for this team over more than 30 years. Do you understand what I'm saying? The stadium, the solemnness, we were rooting, I mean, it was packed. So he was like, yes, ma'am, thank you. So now I'm the new grandma.
Probably needed to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell it was authentic, genuine. You got nothing to apologize. You lost the game. You did a great job. We'll get them next year. Liberals don't like that, even though she's black and with glasses. And what the big problem was, and here's where they got caught. As you saw the camera focused on the coach, and all you heard was her voice saying, don't worry about it, we'll get him next year, everything's going to be okay, you did it great. They didn't know she was black. They didn't understand it was an older black woman, not that it freaking matters. They didn't know that she was black and immediately pounced on this reporter thinking that it was horrible that she was talking nice to a white football coach. His name is Liam Cohen. Winky wink. Liam Cohen. And she propped him up. And without ever seeing her face, without knowing who made the comment, they descended. They ate their own. Obviously, I don't know this woman, but she's got all the appearances of probably being a liberal. Maybe not, but she did good. And good isn't available to the liberals. They don't like good.
The new auntie and...
So, Lynn, I do want to bring out, because this also has a lot of mixed emotions and how people are responding to this.
Yes.
So Adam Schefter wrote, "This is an awesome post-game exchange between a reporter and Jags head coach." But then Mark Long, who's an AP reporter, kind of went in on this.
Yes.
And he said nothing awesome about this, called you fake media, said that you shouldn't even have been up there asking those kind of questions.
Now they want to pull her credentials. Imagine that. They want to pull her credentials because she had the audacity to say something good to somebody. Where are we, people? Where are we? I mean, yes, I love football, but this is way bigger than football. You see a person up there, you know, he's emotional and they got beat and the other reporters are banging at him. And she walks up and says, "Hold your head up, man. You did a good job. You got nothing to be ashamed of." And they're like, "We need to pull her credentials. We need to get her out of the locker room. She should never be there ever again."
So when you heard that, how did that make you feel?
I don't take no offense to it. Listen, I've been in this business more than 25 years. I've interviewed from Barack Obama to Terry Bradshaw to, what's my guy named Tiger Woods. So he can say whatever he want about fake news. I am a member of the Black Press, NNPA, the National Newspaper Association, that's been around more than 100 years. I'm the associate editor of the Jacksonville Free Press, one of the more than 230 African-American newspapers still printing in this country today. In Jacksonville, you had the Florida Star since 1955. We've been around since 1986. In Philadelphia, the Philly Tribune has been printing since 1884. In my hometown of Detroit, the Michigan Chronicle has been printing since 1935. So support the Black Press. So you can call me fake all you want to, honey. I've been doing this a long time.
Let me tell you something.
People know me. Yes, sir.
My cousin Lance, they're big Packers fans. They came down last year for
not
Jags.
the Packers.
Listen,
I'm from Detroit.
listen.
Go ahead.
So they are converts, and my cousin Lance was like, "Tell her this morning that I love her, and tell her to say that it's going to be all right."
It's going to be all right. Keep your head up.
All right.
It's going to be all right. You got to keep your head up. I wanted to close with that today. A feel-good story. The libs never saw what she looked like. They didn't know who she was. There was just a voice that they heard on tape, and they immediately pounced and went, "Oh, she's black? Oh, she's older? That could be somebody's grandma." And she's in the locker room writing sports stories and had the goodness about her to see a man hurting. See a man who went an entire season his first year and said, "It's all right, man. You're going to be okay. You did well. Hold your head up." Why would we ever have a problem with people saying, "Hold your head high. Well done. You didn't win, but you did well"? That story by itself tells me liberals have nothing in their heart. They're black souls. They're completely empty. It was exhibited en masse. There were just probably hundreds of posts telling her she shouldn't be in sports. Don't ever go back to the stadium. You suck. And I'm like, wow. See, I'm waiting for Stephen A. Smith to go ahead and post a video. I haven't seen one yet by him, but when I see somebody vulnerable, it reminds me she could have been my grandma. She's a little bit darker. And you all jumped on her because she said something nice. Maybe you guys should say something nice. Maybe a little happiness, a little attaboy would mean so much, but they can't because they're miserable asshats. Just remember that. This story, you may not like the NFL, you may not like football whatsoever, but it's so indicative of who these people really are. They're angry, miserable, almost demonic, that you'd want to, I mean, of all the things that you'd want to attack somebody over, being nice, you want to attack somebody because they're being nice to another human being, then you know right there's something really wrong with the left. When you can't even be nice to somebody. Wow. Yeah, I believe it too. They're breaking apart. They're completely breaking apart at this point, and they've got nothing. And I mean, I couldn't ever think I would give that kind of woman a hard time. I wouldn't give any woman a hard time. Yeah, maybe Joy Reid. Definitely Joy Reid. But damn. Again, people crapping on others, educated common sense. I think they don't understand real human decency. No, they don't know. Yeah, she's been in the scumbag, all these evil people. Yeah. Libs are totally miserable. And somebody posted in here, yeah, she's been in the game for 20 years. The coach's name, young guy, his name is Liam Cohen. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. You don't know with these people, but I just wondered when I heard his name if that had anything to do with it. So I didn't want to bore you with a football story because to me that wasn't a football story. That was a comparison of two coaches who are heralded, who they everything they can to make sure everything's okay with them, and they can spew all kinds of venom. But if you dare say something nice, you're ostracized. I don't want to be around those kind of people. I definitely don't want to be around those kind of people. All right, let me do super chats, and then I got to go take the dogs out because they're starting to move around. Well, actually, one of them, Midas, is moving around. Lily, she just passed out back there, so I'm probably going to be up like all night. I know they're probably thinking, oh, you don't even know what we got in store for you, Dad. We're going to be at you all night long. So if you see me tomorrow and I'm looking like really tired, you know why? Because they had me running. Oh, boy. I don't know what this is going to be like.
Young man, all you young men, keep your head.
I have to hit this one. All right, here we go. Big Cat. Hey, Big Cat. God bless everyone. 2026 MAGA. Indeed. Erwin, thanks for all you do to keep us informed. Mahalo. Mahalo to you. Hey, I see that Kilauea is exploding out there again. Eruptions. Chiosop, imagine the Democrats wanted us back on mules and President Trump wants us in spaceships. There could never be two bigger polar opposites. Indeed. Just leave me alone. Thank you. Love your show. Thank you very much for watching. CRR, Bible Fund. Yep, I guarantee you the Bible page will be up and running again. Today's Monday. By Thursday, we'll have it done. We're also going to be announcing the date of the fishing trip. So I know, if you don't know, you didn't win, but we'll make a big deal about it. Pekoski, people pay attention to the speech. Yeah, you're talking about Pete Hegseth. Pekoski, BCZ World should hear it. BCZ. You lost me on that one. AI Phelps, thank you. Cutting edge. It's simple. We're going to get our Star Trek armada with technology beyond imagination with freedom. Yeah, freaking laser beams. I can't. Anytime I say that, in case you guys haven't seen the movie Austin Powers, that's where that comes from. Michael Morse, thank you. Pekoski, the 3 rings are ready. Players in place. Yep. Chiosop, I always thought about dropping some sleeping guas on the paid protesters, and when they wake up, they find themselves in Gizmo. I remember that movie. The lasers of the AI version. Chiosop, person of interest was amazing and addictive. It is. This is probably my 3rd or 4th time going through the episodes. It's that good. Leaders. We need those robots in Minnesota to take care of business. Wouldn't that be awesome if one day you're just sitting there, turn on the TV, and all of a sudden it just that would be sick. Larry, seeing Pete here, he may be presidential material. He was good. Marvin, and also tells you why they didn't want him in there. Marvin Hill, I'm hoping USA is watching Brazil as a possible threat, even though they are not a superpower. China has been investing in them. Nicholas Lamonicus. Hey, Nicholas. Thank you, Barry and Mods. Exciting times. Cuban interference on AM band has diminished lately. Radio Havana playing more music. Watered down programs. Interesting. Very interesting. Chiosop, maybe Musk is recording the entire internet, phone calls and camera movements, feeding them into AI, and they know everything about everyone at all times. See, I can't tell you that's not true. There's no way I can say, yeah, because it could be. GG Scraps, if we don't know, maybe China and Russia don't know. Tania, Barry Elon, robot sure ain't the short circuit type, or R2D2 type either. Chiosop, the guy, J6, Jay was in Minnesota today and was opposing the limbed up paid protesters, and ICE was there protecting him and his crew. Libs were going nuts. Fume drummer. I think if the Minneapolis mayor went to prison, it'd be like The Bachelor, or say yeah. Oh boy, yeah, he wouldn't do well in prison. Buddy Sanders, Lake and Riley, say her name. Exactly. Chiosop, libtards are always playing Twister and losing. Neo, Barry, more Bibles. Thank you for a great show. God bless our President Trump, military force, and ICE force. They are on mission from God. Yes, I agree that. So we know tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Let me see if they posted anything on the schedule, because sometimes by now they would have posted. Hold on, let me refresh the schedule real quick here and see if they put up Tuesday's schedule. Yes. Okay, so I can show it to you guys so you guys can see it as well. Let me bring this in so we can take a look at it together. Tuesday's schedule. So SV and the mods know what we got tomorrow. All right, so tomorrow, the 13th, we have this schedule. 9 o'clock, he gets on, he calls everybody in. 12:30, he goes to the site visit. And then at 2 o'clock, he delivers the remarks to the Detroit Economic Club. So I can tell you right now that more than likely, looks like the time we will be going live tomorrow will be around 1:30. 1:30, and then we'll take President Trump's speech in Detroit. The only thing I got to make sure is what time zone Detroit is on, but I think either way we'll be okay. All right, so 1:30 tomorrow, and we will be taking President Trump in his speech at Detroit. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow. And pray for me. I got these two animals. Don't know how it's going to go. Talk to you soon.
Bye.